Hi, and welcome to the training on how to prepare your photos and images for use on the Lariatnews.com website, as well as how to post your stories and get them ready to be published. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to switch over to this other tab, which is an online photo editor called Pixlr. Pixlr.com is how you can access this. This is a nice web-based tool if you don't have access to Photoshop. If you scroll down, you'll see two options. You'll see an editor and you'll see an express. You want to use the editor. I'm going to open an image that I've saved on my desktop that I took relative to the story that I wrote. Now you'll see that it very well represents what I'm going to talk about in my story that I wrote. I'm going to close these extra windows right now. We don't need those. So right now this image was taken from my camera, and you can see here in the corner that it is 4,000 pixels wide by 2657 pixels high. That's very large, perfect for print but not for the web. So we have to resize it. So we're going to use our crop tool right here, and we're going to actually select from no restriction. We're going to go to output size, and we're actually going to type in 1200 and 900. The reason being, that is the aspect ratio that we want, meaning our aspect ratio should be 4 wide, 3 high. I've already selected the tool. Now if I hold my mouse down, it's actually going to put a bounding box that is divided into thirds, which is the rule of thirds for photos. So I'm going to actually select this image where I feel it'll be best. And I'm just going to hit my enter key and it will crop it for me. And I'm going to zoom in here a little bit. I'm going to check it. Image size 1200 by 900. It's exactly where I want it. So now I will hit save. It already has a name, but I'm going to name it -web because I don't want to overwrite my original. I'm going to save photos as a JPEG, which it should default to. The quality will default to around 80%. You can actually, if you look down here at the size, right now it's 143 kilobytes, which is good, which is appropriate. You can actually pull it back to about 60% and really not lose a lot of quality in your image. And you want it as small as possible. So that's under 100, which is perfect. So I'm going to hit OK, and I'm going to save this swearing.web onto my desktop, and I'm done with that. I have a second picture that I need to edit that I'm going to put inside the story. The first one I did is actually going to be my featured image at the top of my story, and it's also going to be the image that's going to show on the home page and on what's called the category archive, which I'll explain when we get into WordPress. So again, I'm going to open from my computer. I actually have a picture here of a young lady with a bar of soap in her mouth, which is, if you grew up in my household, this is what my mother would do if we said bad words. So again, I'm going to change this time I'm going to change it directly with the aspect ratio, and I'm going to change it 4 to 3. And if you see down here, the image is still too big. It's almost 2600 pixels wide. Sorry about that. I don't know how to turn off my Facebook notifications. So I'm actually going to hold down my cursor and drag the bounding box again, if my cursor will lock this time. Alright, so now if I click image size, it's still too big. So here I can actually put 1200 and it should go to 900 or thereabouts because I've already set that aspect ratio. So you can either set the aspect ratio and then change the image size, or you can just drag a bounding box using the crop tool around the image to select the area you want that is 1200 pixels wide by 900 pixels high. So I'm going to hit save. And right now, even at 80%, it's 101 kilobytes, which is really good. So I'm just going to leave it. I'm going to hit OK, and I'm going to add -web to my file. It knows it's a JPEG file. I don't need to give it the extension. So I'm done with that. I can close that out. And let's go back to the Lariatnews website. To log on to the site for staff members, if you scroll to the very bottom, you'll see Lariat staff login right here. If you click that, it's going to actually take you to the login page. Here's where you put in your username or your email address, which should be your Saddleback email, and your password. Now, if you don't remember your password, you can click Lost Your Password. It will send you an email to your Saddleback email address, unless you've already changed it to something else, and you can reset it. So don't panic if you can't remember your password. I'm going to click Login. This is the dashboard, which I know really doesn't really look like a dashboard, but this is what it is. Now I have the highest level. I have the administrator's level, so what you see here may be a little different than what you see. I have more options over here, but everything that you have is here too. So what I see actually is there's 4,553 posts currently, or stories, on this website. Now this website was started in 2007, so it's actually 7 years old. Here's the site stats of actually people who visited the site. The first thing you should do now that you've prepared your art is upload it to the website, and we do that in the media library, which is Media, Add New, right here. Now you can load more than one file at a time, or you can do a single file. You can drop your photos in. For example, I'm just going to minimize my browser and get this out of the way here, because we're going to go to that in a minute. And here's my two pictures, Soap and Mouth Web. I'm going to just drop it in there, and it's going to add it, and Swearing Web. Now I need to edit these because I need to add a caption, so I'm going to actually can do one of two things. You can click Edit here, or you can click Library here. What you see here are all the images that have been uploaded to the website already. And here's the two pictures that I just added. However, I never put captions on them. So I'm going to walk you through this. Right here you see URL. This is actually the address, or the web address, of where this picture is. If I copy this link and open another tab and paste it in, it'll actually go to that image. Whoop, where'd we go? Alright, so it's got a name. It's very important you give your image a name, because say 2 years down the road I want to look for a picture of someone swearing. So I'm just going to call this Swearing, or how about if I call it Man Swearing and Spitting. Alright, now my caption, I actually have this typed off. I'm going to copy it from my text editor, and I'm going to paste it in here. I'm also going to paste it in alt text, this field here. This is for anyone who has disabilities. Believe it or not, somebody who is deaf or blind can still use a computer, as they have special applications and peripherals that help them see, help them hear, etc. We're also going to put it in the description, because depending on the tools we use to display this picture, it can pull the caption from either the actual caption field or the description field. It shows who uploaded it. And this down here I can explain to you another time. It basically takes the image and smushes it, so it's a little bit smaller, and the smaller the better. I'm going to go here, and I'm going to go to my second picture, Soap and Mouth, and I'm actually going to just give this a little mini caption here. because this is sort of a sarcastic picture. It doesn't really have, it's posed. I wouldn't recommend you use like this in a news story. This would be okay for like a magazine story. Again, I'm going to copy it and I'm going to paste it in to these two fields. All right, so I'm done with my media library now, and I can actually go and I can actually create my story. So if I go back to my dashboard, I want to go here to post. You'll see the little push pin here, and I'm going to show you, walk you through these a little bit. If you click all posts, you will see any post that is currently either published or pending, or it is in a draft mode. Now I want to add a new post, so I have many options. You'll see I can add new here, I can add new up here. All right, so I'm going to start top left, and then I'm going to go over to this bar on the right, and I'm going to, the sidebar here, we're going to go through that. So we're going to give my story a title. So you're going to give it some type of headline. You'll notice that I only capitalized the first word. This is news style. Again, if you, depending on where you work, it may be a different style, or it may be more of a magazine style where you capitalize every word except 3-letter words and smaller. So let's move over here now before we actually start working on our story. You don't need to worry about the sidebar right there. That's just going to be something that defaults. Publish, right now, you're going to be in a draft mode. So you can, as you work, save your work and save it as a draft. And anytime you want to see what it looks like, you can hit this preview. You don't have to save before you preview, but it's a good idea. Do not hit this publish or this publish until your story has been completely copy edited, and this should actually be done by a specific copy editor or your editor-in-chief or whoever is designated to be the final person. You need to always select a category for your story. Please don't add new categories. These keep in line with the print issue, and it's also already structured for the menu on the website. So my story is actually going to fit into life. I'm going to uncheck uncategorize, and I'm going to go down here to life, and I'm going to select life. Now only check one of these. For example, if it's a story about something in the community, you don't need to select both of these. It knows if you select community, it's a subcategory of life. Tags are exactly that. If you're familiar with social media, you know what tags are. They're keywords to your story. And right now I'm going to have to go back because I don't have the story in front of me, but I do know it's about cursing, swearing, profanity, the F word, etc. Things like that. Featured image, you have to have a featured image. Right, for you, you're going to use the top select, for you guys, you're going to use set featured image right here. And I already added it, so I'm going to use swearing man here, and I'm going to set him for my featured image. All right, this stuff down here is more advanced. We can get into that later. But for now, let's get ready to put our story in here. I compose my stories using Google Docs. It's got a nice spell check. It's in a cloud, so it's with me all the time. I don't have to worry about emailing things back and forth because I can share the story just by clicking share, and I can send this link to my editor to look at. So I'm going to select everything. I'm actually going to do Control A to select everything, and then Control C to copy. And I'm going to go back to my post. Now you'd think I could just paste it in here, but you don't want to do that because it will add in what's called proprietary HTML code. So let me regress a little bit. You're going to see two tabs over here. You want to keep your default on visual, which is basically a what you see is what you get. If you click text, you're actually going to see code. And if you're not familiar, it's going to look a little foreign. So let's go back to visual, and you have a two-line toolbar. If you're only seeing one, you need to hit the toolbar toggle to open that up. Very important before you paste is this little, it looks like a clipboard with a T on it, paste as text. You only have to select it once during each editing session. Now you can paste it in. And it doesn't bring in any of that code. If I click to text, it just looks like plain text. There's no funny looking code in there. Alright, so I'm going to hit preview. I want to see what it's going to look like. So it's going to break off into a separate, it's going to launch it will launch in a new tab. So here's my headline, here's the author, here's the date, here's the category, and down underneath the story, well, and down at the bottom here, you'll see the tags that I put in there, and you'll also see a little author box. That's why I want you to have bios. Alright, it looks a little bland, so let's go back and doll it up a little bit. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to add an image at the top of our story. And you can use your featured image again if you want to do this, because where we selected it, it's not going to show in the story for this particular what's called theme we're using. Now if you're on the staff of Orange Appeal, theirs is a little different. Right here I have an add media button. I'm going to select that. I'm going to select my picture of Spitting Man here, and I want you to pay attention. The attachment display settings, alignment should be none. It should link to the media file, and it should be the large size. And just click insert into post, and it puts it at the top right there, and it adds the caption automatically for me. That's why I put the caption in the media library, not after I put it into the post. So now let's look at it and see what it looks like. So you'll notice that it actually resized the picture so it fits right where I want it to be. But if I want to see it bigger, I can click on it, and it would actually, if I had a bigger monitor, I'm on a laptop, so I'm not going to see it any bigger than it actually is in the actual allotted size here. Alright, now let's say I have some other things that I want to add in here. I've got another picture. I've got the girl with the soap in her mouth. I'm going to actually go down to probably about the fourth or fifth paragraph, or wherever that photo will fit within your story. And I'm going to click add media. Now I have the option of I can leave that picture really big again, like this, where it actually will wrap around. Let it load. It'll actually wrap around the picture. Or now the picture's in there, I can edit it right in here with this little pencil. So right now it's saying no alignment. Let's say I want to make it smaller, and I'm gonna align the photo to the left so the text wraps to the right. And you'll see there's default sizes, so I'm going to make it the medium size, and I'm going to hit update. So you'll see it actually goes left. You can go right, you can go left. Alright, now I've got this really great GIF file that I've got of a kid that is trying to do a yo-yo trick, and the yo-yo just hits him in the face repeatedly over and over and over again. And I want to put that in. But I need to add the actual HTML code for that, what's called embed code, which I grabbed from the I guess it's Giphy website. So I'm going to click text, and I'm going to put my cursor here, and I'm actually going to put a little space in there. And I'm going to go back to my notepad, and I actually copied this text here. And I'm just going to paste that back in here. Get rid of those extra spaces. All right, so let's hit preview and see what we've got now. All right, so we got Spitting Man. We've got the kid with the yo-yo here, who's hitting himself repeatedly over and over again. And there's girl with the soap in her mouth. So that's basically it. That's how you post your stories. There's all kinds of additional things you can do in here. You can actually embed social media, tweets, Instagram photos, YouTube videos, all kinds of things like that. You can also create photo galleries. If you see down here, we have galleries. You can actually put in a photo slider if you want a slideshow, things like that. That's pretty much about it. I do want to tell you that you probably want to go into settings. You're going to want to go in and edit your profile and make this all about, you're going to want to go in and edit your profile so that you have some kind of bio. But I'm getting ahead of myself. We'll do that separately in another class period. Now that we've got this the way we want it to look, we're going to save the draft one more time. So I'm done. I like the way it looks. I think it's ready to go on to my editor. So I'm going to say I'm going to pass this on to Holly now. And so I'm going to either send her a text message or I'm going to send her a note on Facebook, whatever the best way is to ask her to please take a look at it. Then she'll decide when it's ready. Now it may need work and she may say, hey, we need to talk about this and we need to do some changes. So we're going to try to get those done as quickly as possible. Then she just presses publish. Now the story will show on the home page and it will be published for you. Then what you should do is you should promote your work. Always promote your own work on your own social media. And then the social media editor should promote the work, should actually decide what stories are going to be highlighted on the front page. And let's go to the front page and look at that. So your online editor or the designated person would determine what goes here in your featured box. You can have a maximum of 5 stories here in the featured box. Then you have news, you have life, you have the latest stories, and I think it probably does the latest 12. And then you actually over here have sports, an opinion, and editorial. If you want to go back and you want to look at archives, you can go back all the way to September 2007. And then these are actually posts that what's getting the most views. So that's about it until we get into some more advanced things. Thank you for your time, and if you have any questions, you can reach me at mshults@saddleback.edu. That's mshults@saddleback.edu. Thank you, and we'll see you in class.